Perfect. So thank you so much for joining us today. We're gonna start this workshop today. We have the chance to have Umberto joining us. That's a workshop from the Chainlink Block Magic Hackathon, and we have the chance to have some special guests today. Sorry, and yeah, so maybe just for a quick start of this call, I think that more people will join us in the coming seconds, but maybe if you can start introduce yourself in a few words, how you discovered this industry and how you joined.
Yeah, sure. First of all, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much, guys, for hosting it and to asking me to hosting this workshop. And again, hi everybody. I am Umberto. I'm the CEO and the founder of Pink Moon Studio. We are a Web3 gaming studio. We were born in 2021. We are 3 years old. Now counting like 30 people working on our major, let's say, product, which is our major core game. How did I come into the industry? It's actually a pretty funny story. I joined the crypto space in 2011. I bought my first Bitcoin at $3 back then. I'm not a Bitcoin billionaire though, not a millionaire, because actually I was using Bitcoin for stuff, so to say. Back in 2011, not a lot of people were thinking and looking at Bitcoin as a possible mean of investment, so to say. And yeah, some people was using to buy pizza. Some people like me were using it to buy something else. But that's it. I entered in the space in 2011 when there literally nothing. I mean, for buying Bitcoin back then, there were no Bybit, Binance, Coinbase, nothing like that. There was no exchanges. The world exchanges in the cryptocurrency space, there were no either a space back then. The only way for me to buy Bitcoin was sending money on PayPal to some random guy found on gaming forums. So that was the market space, the crypto space back then. But joining that early allowed me also to see the entire space evolving, and from nothing to where it is right now. And I really think that is a very impressive what the entire space went. And I think we still see the same cycles and people doing the same mistakes all the time. But what I can tell during this almost 13 years is every cycle the industry gets better and better and better. It's always speculative, it's of course, but you see every single cycle it's consolidating on a better value and a better use case and really building stuff using the blockchain technology rather than just trying to grab some money and become rich like at a casino. And so this is something that is always makes me positively looking for the industry, because if we look backwards, we see when we started it was very, very speculative. There were nothing, and then it gets better, it cleans, and it's improving cycle after cycles.
Awesome. Yeah, great story. And yeah, you've been here for a long time, and today, and I think that in the coming days more people will catch up with the records. We have many builders, and I hope that some of them are gonna build some games using Web3 and Chainlink services. Yeah, today's workshop is to talk about what you build and what you learned during the past 3 years. So I will go back in the shadow and let you share your screen. And guys, if you have any questions, just feel free to write that in the comments, and Umberto will be able to answer at the end of his presentation. So I'm gonna.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
No worries. So
okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
We're good. Okay, so let's kick it off again. Welcome everybody. I hope this workshop will be useful. I will try during this workshop, I will try to share a bit of the learning and the mistakes that I've done, that we also as a Pink Moon Studio we did during the last 3 years. We were born during the previous bull run. We survived, so to say, a bear market, the last 2 years bear market, and now we are still here. And we have been able to see all the different scenarios, and we test a lot of things. And I hope to share a bit of what we learned and what we had to fight against, So then hopefully you won't do the same mistakes that I did. That's long story short. I hope this is going to be useful for everybody in this sense. So I said about me, I just already introduced me, but for those that just joined us later, again, I'm Umberto. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Pinkmo Studio. I'm a big nerd. I'm a big gamer. I have plenty of nerdy stuff next to me. I have like all the 7 Dragon Balls here next on my desk, just to give you the profile of the person that is talking to you. About us in Pinkmo Studio, as I mentioned, we started in 2021 as a straightforward Web3 gaming project with the idea and the concept of Cayman. In 2021, I had realization of the potential of Web3 applied to games, especially multiplayer online games, especially MMO in this case. And I realized also, as a big Pokemon fan, and I always been a bit disappointed. I'm 32 years old, so I guess also a lot of people in the audience can recognize and can recall what I'm gonna say, that, you know, a bit disappointed with the latest development of the Pokemon games and stuff like that as an old gen fan. And so I realized that actually if we take the Pokemon game mechanics and we use Web3 as a technology, we can actually innovate that sort of game and make it more real. You know, when we were kids playing the Pokemon on the Game Boy, I was playing on the old-fashioned Game Boy, like the big brick. I was really feeling, so to say, to be a trainer, you know, and there were money going on. My Pokemon, you know, were technically speaking worth a lot because I was the, you know, Elite Four champion and stuff like that. And the realization of, if we do apply and if we use, you know, the blockchain technology, so in this case, we leverage the NFTs, we can actually recreate the Pokemon economy in society. Because if I have my own pet, my own mon, I spend a lot of time improving it, you know, making it stronger, I become the champion, it actually has a sort of value like it was in the Pokemon anime, in the Pokemon game. But, you know, throughout the years as a Pinkmo Studio, we started with just this incipit, but then we also, as a company, we evolved, we became bigger. And now Pinkmo Studio, we are on a mission. Of course, we're still working on our major IP, which is Cayman World of Gojira, which is our first big game drop. But to make that, we also created our own engine that allows us to create pretty easily new IP and new IP games, always in the MMO Web3 space. Because the vision that we have as a Pinkmo Studio is indeed to create a universe of interconnected games where in Cayman, your NFT is rendered as a pet, as a monster, but then you enter in another game and is rendered as a horse or is rendered as a car, but you still have one single asset that you move across all the games. But just to give you, let me see if I can share, because I thought, unfortunately, I don't know if I can share the video, unfortunately. I want to share with you quickly the trailer of our game, because otherwise, you know, who am I to talk? I was actually curious to show a bit of you our upcoming game, but we will drop probably the link. I will ask to some, if there is anyone from my team, if they can drop the video of our latest game, of our trailer, into the chat. So if everybody is interested, they can give it a look to better understand which kind of game we're building about World of Gojira. But let's straight dive into the content of the workshop of today. As I said, I'm going to try to share a bit of my knowledge and a bit of the flow of thoughts that I think, if I go backwards, I should have used, you know, before starting, so to say, you know, putting the things one next to each other. I'll already say sorry. My slides, usually when I do this kind of workshop, my slides are not full of content. Most of the slide is just a line of text, and I'm going to talk over it because I know that, you know, people don't tend to read slides. So first thing first, if we're talking about, you know, building games in Web3, because the first definition that has to be set is, are we going to build a game? You know, first of all, we're building a game. And then once you decide that you want to build a game, you need to ask yourself, okay, Web3 or not Web3? Because this is actually also important, because right now, especially during the bull market, and we all know that the GameFi, the Web3 gaming season is coming, and gaming and Web3 are very, very interconnected, and the utility of Web3 within gaming, it's clear for every sort of gamers out there that understand a bit of the Web3. But the question, this is actually a very important question to ask, because sometimes you can get driven by the fact there is so much money going on into the Web3 space that you say, yeah, let's run a Web3 game. Let's build a Web3 game without really understanding what does it mean. Okay, so the first question that people should ask themselves is, okay, we want to build a game, and then are we going to build a Web3 game or not? And there are some, in my experience during these years, I think there are several particular points that needs to be looked either to decide if it's going to be a Web3 game or a not Web3 game. The first point, things that you need to look at is it going to be a single player game or a multiplayer game? If you're going to build a single player game, there's no mean to have Web3 elements within it, because a single player game is a normal experience of a game. So if you want to build, what normal single player campaign, whatever game, just don't go Web3. Just build a Web2 game. And the reason why I'm saying so, even though there are some single player, so to say, games, you versus the computer, is because then you find yourself, you enter in the first big issues of Web3. Web3 is all about value, is all about consolidating value and collect value for the players in terms of tokens, in terms of NFT value, at the end of the day, in terms of money. That's the thing that gives to the player. In the normal Web2 games, if we take any sort of example of, MMO games, all of games has an economy inside of it, and I have my own character and stuff, but I cannot sell it. I cannot get the money out of it. If I'm playing on a server on Minecraft online or whatever, I do collect money, or I play EVE Online, I have money there and blah, blah, blah. But those money are completely worthless outside of the game itself. So first of all, let's say the Web3 is really about ownership and asset value. It's more like about consolidating the time and the money that the player is spending within the game in order for the player to then catch also part of that value. Okay. And in my perspective, by what we learned, if you go for a single player campaign, then you will, in a single player game, you will find yourself hooked up that all of your audience would like to make money out of the game in any case, because it's still one of the core aspects of a Web3 game. And then you're going to sort of create an unsustainable economy, because then you find yourself forced to drop tokens. And at the end of the day, this is not sustainable. So the best for me, what we always looked and we always thought is the best approach and the best moment to apply Web3 technology to a game is when you're talking about mostly MMO, massive multiplayer online games or online games. So where there is an economy, because every game is an economy, but there is an economy where there's not only the company, let's say the studio, the game, and the player, but the economy is made by the game and countless amount of players. So the actual economy within the game is mostly built by all the players that are playing the same game together, and they are actually interconnected. They are playing together. So because in this way, the Web3 enable the economy between players. That's the real kick of Web3, the healthy way of a Web3 game. And this is also, for example, if we look at Kmon World of Kogia, our MMORPG game, which is a sort of World of Warcraft with Pokemons. The actual economy where a player can generate money by playing the game is not because we as a studio, we're going to give them money to play the game. We are not going to do that. The reason why how you're going to make money is because you're playing the game, you're making your Cryptomon stronger, and then there's someone else who is interested to buy them. Or because within the game, you decide to become a farmer, you farm and craft items to sell to another player. And then you catch the value. So the Web3 enable a fake economy to become a real economy. But Web3 or not Web3 is an important question that has to be asked. And, I know that most of the time people can tend to say, yeah, it's going to be Web3 because everybody's Web3. But it could be a short-term win, and then it could literally kick your, butt in the midterm. And so this is something really, really important to ask yourself. So the next question, once you figured, yes, we're going to build a Web3 game, is, do we want to build a long-lasting game, or do we want to build, I call them a hit and run? And this is another important question. In my opinion, of course, those two are viable options. You can pick the one you prefer. But in my opinion, you want to build something long lasting. If you are, an entrepreneur, if you want to build something that other people are going to use it, that you want to build a company where you want to have hire people and you want to grow and you want to you have an entrepreneurial spirit, because otherwise why you would do it, then you want to go for a long-lasting game, not a so-called hit and run. And in Web3, I'm sorry to say that, I'm sad to say this, but I think we see most of hit and run rather than long-lasting games. Because long-lasting games, and when I'm talking long-lasting games, I'm talking about games that have 5, 10, 15 years of lifespan, games that will be still played in 10 years from now. So how do you build a game that is gonna last in 10 years from now? You build a game that is actually fun to play, that people really likes to play, like World of Warcraft, EVE Online, Minecraft. Those are games with 100 millions of players on a daily basis. 100 millions of players on a daily basis, play daily for several years, and they will still be here in 10 years. And this is how you build, a successful company, and you create a successful game with a long-lasting legacy. And hit and run, instead, is more like a short-term, quick game where you build a sort of a game where, and as I said, it's actually, technically speaking, is easier to launch a hit and run rather than a long-lasting game, because a long-lasting game needs to be a real game. A hit and run doesn't. And I think right now, especially in the Web3 space, not right now, but during the previous bull run, and we saw this, during the previous bull run, a lot of play-to-earn game came out that literally they were paying players to play the game. And this is not a sustainable model. But why is it called a hit and run? Because it's pretty simple. I will start saying, whoever played the game will get $5. Tomorrow, I will have 1 million players. And then I can create a sort of a tokenomics that enable me, to increase the value of my token. And so I can grab cash from it and stuff like that. But this is a hit and run. I get money and run. But that is not how you build a game. You build something that allows you very quick short, because also the audience that you're going to attract, that specific audience is not going to be really interested to play your game. That audience will be mostly interested to grind as much as possible value out of your game. And once they've done, they move to the next one. And this is not, again, a long-lasting game. So today I'm going to focus, of course, on what I think it should be done and what we are doing at Pink Moon Studio, which is, first of all, I want to be very, very clear with you all, is extremely more complicated. It's extremely more complicated, but it's what it really worth. So we're going to focus mostly on a long-lasting games. So to start, let's say this, you guys decided, okay, we want to build a game. We reckon that Web3 is the, technology to be used. And even actually this step, community first, is actually very, very the first step, not only for Web3 game, it will be the same for Web2 games. But let's say that you assume that you said, okay, we want to build a game, we want to build a Web3 game, and we want to build a long-lasting game. So what is the next step? What do we do next? Are we going to start building the game straight away? Not. Sometimes this could be, felt a bit, how can I say, counterintuitive, especially for those that are the first time entrepreneurial journey, to not start building straight away. Building, technically speaking, actually coding and building the product, it should be sometimes almost the second step or the last step. Before building, you need to actually validate that the game you guys want to build have a market. There's people that are interested to buy and to play that game. because otherwise you're gonna end up in the risk that I actually did as a mistake in my first startup 15 years ago, where I built everything and then I recognized that nobody wanted what I built, and so it was the clear failure. Instead, your first step, it should be community first. You should write down a white paper, a landing page, telling to the world what kind of game you want to build. This is the game that we want to build. This is the vision that we have for the game. These are the mechanics. You don't need to go into the gritty, nitty details, because probably you don't have either the answer. And 99% of the answer that you have at the very beginning when you start building are wrong. So you don't want to go in the very gritty, nitty details. You just want to keep it high level, just for the people to understand which kind of product, which kind of game you want to build. And once you have done this, the first step is in this one, is try to build a community behind. But why is that? Because building, if you're capable to build a group of people, strangers between them, that are interested in your game, that they join your Discord, join your community, start talking and discussing about the game that you just quickly pitched to them, that it means that you'll find your first early adopters. You'll find the people that will help you building the game. The people within your community is actually the most important asset that you have from day zero, from the moment that you start till the day you will die. Because that people is the people that will tell you when you are doing something right, and it's going to be also the people that will tell you, and most of the time they are very, very loud on that, when you're doing something wrong. So building the community, building the group of people, the audience that are interested to play your game is the first step, because in this way you can start co-create and validate. And this is really also important. In Web3, everybody is talking about community, our community, our community. But I bet you guys, and I think if you are here, you're probably part of several community, to write down 10 healthy community with a healthy relationship between the project, the company, and the community. I bet that it's going to be difficult to list down 10, because most of the time, especially in Web3, people tend to use the word community, but they don't really mean it. Instead, you should really create a group of people to which you co-create, and this is most important, you co-create the game together. So every time you have an idea, you share with them. You have continuous conversation, discussion. I mean, I guess some people of our community are here. As of today, Cayman counts around 200,000 members across channel in our community. And they can tell you that not all the time we agree. Most of the time we share something and they have their different point of view, or they share something and we have a different point of view, but we have a very healthy conversation and relationship. We do trust each other. And by trusting each other, we always find that, both parties are right in their point of view. And so we always find what is the perfect combination. And thanks to these people, you will be capable to build a game without wasting time on stuff that don't matter. You will focusing on the stuff that really matters. And who's going to tell you what matters? Your community. These people are going to be the most important asset. So don't start building, writing a line of code if you don't have even a small group of 100 people. I'm not talking about 200,000 members like us. I mean, when we started, I remember initially we have 50 people in the group, and then we scaled to 50,000, to 50, to 20, to 50, to 100, to 1,000, to 5,000, and so on. Only today we're counting 200,000. But you start with the smallest group as possible so you can have already this conversation going. Once you have this set, then you can start, and once you have this conversation starting, then you can start writing code. You can start build, because now you actually have a very good fast track on validating and testing, if what you want to build is the right thing or not. So again, we decided that we want to build a game. We decided it's a Web3 game. We decided it's a long-lasting game. So we don't want to build a hit and run, those that always during the bull run pop up. And we got our community. So what's the next step? Defined also which kind of audience we want to attract within the community, which understand who is the people that we brought within our community. Did we brought Web2 people? Did we brought Web3 people? And what are the difference between these two audiences? And this is something that is, again, really important to be understood straight at the beginning before you do the game design of your game, because otherwise you will encounter, this is one of the first mistakes we did. We didn't properly understood for which kind of audience we were building, and we didn't properly even understood what were the differences between the two audiences. Web2 audiences is a normal gamer, like that play Call of Duty or Fortnite and stuff like that, but have no clue about Web3. And then you have Web3 audience, which is people that are mostly, buying tokens, have NFTs, and all that kind of stuff. We're playing Axie Infinity, now is playing Pixels, and this is the Web3 audience. So you want to really understand to which kind of audience you are building the game for, or at least who's going to be the first people that are going to play the game, and what are the two differences. I'm gonna quickly give one highlight per each. Web2 audience, they don't really care, technically speaking, as a Web3 audience that much about making money, ownership, because they are not aware. They don't know Web3, so they don't know. And actually, the vision that they have of Web3 is about Ponzi scheme, fake, shitty game. This is what the overall and general Web2 normal gaming audience, so the 2 billion gamers worldwide, the biggest majority, are thinking that Web3 games are bad games with, scammy economies and stuff like that. They don't really believe in it. And this is mostly because they don't know it, and because there is some sort of a stigma due to the previous bull run, where indeed most of the Web3 games were just very bad designed and developed game with no real fun. It was all about grinding money. And this is not what a Web2 player is looking for. Web2 player is looking for fun. He's looking for not even only fun, he's looking for frustration. He's looking to spend few hours, without thinking about all of his problem to discuss with someone. I'm a gamer myself. I have fun, and I broke a joystick, and I broke a monitor. I got frustrated. All of these are, emotions that games gives you, which are, the Web2 audience mostly is seeking. Then you have the Web3 audience. The Web3 audience, the pure Web3 audience also, is not even that good. Because the pure Web3 audience, you will say, oh, okay, so if you're building a Web3 game, then we're going to build a game for web. We're going to, try to tackle and attract Web3 audience. Yeah, it's not that good. And the reason why it's not that good is because if you look at the first, pure Web3 gamer, if we do a survey and looking at the Web3 gamers, you will figure out that the sort of the audience, if you take the persona of that audience, you look at someone that really doesn't care that much about the game or having fun. But most of the things they do care, the only things they do care is how can I grab some tokens to sell on the market and make some money out of it. And this is pure what is most of the, the biggest population of the Web3 audience when we're talking about games. And this is how, when I said a long-lasting game and not a hit and run that just give money for free to players is more complicated. Because on one audience, they don't believe in Web3, but you want to serve them with a proper game. And on the other audience, they don't really care about the game. The moment they do realize that in order for making money out of your game, they need to actually play the game and really investing their time, be good at the game, and it's not just clicking a button to collect some stuff or using bots to collect money, they won't come. So these two audiences are, the two extreme of the curve. But there is actually a sweet spot in the between, which is right now in the market is still a niche. It's still a niche. So we're talking, if you look at the two population, Web2 gamers is the biggest one. Then you have the Web3 gamers, and then you have we call it the Web 2.5. And in our perspective is the sweet spot. So the Web 2.5 is a gamer, so someone that plays video games and is seeking for games that are fun to play, but they do understand Web3. They do understand the value of Web3 applied to a game, but the main reason why they're playing your game is not because they want to make the money. It's because they want to have fun. And for them, the money component is just the cherry on the top of the cake and not the whole cake. And the reason why I'm saying this is a niche, but this is the web, nowadays is called, we call it Web 2.5. But nowadays, as I said, it's still a niche, but this is the audience that will expand and is inevitable. So longer term, we will see in the next years that the 2 billion people, Web2 gamers, will start transforming themselves into Web 2.5. But of course, it's going to be the responsibility and the challenge of us as an industry to stop building hit and run, money grabbing cash games, but start really building proper games in order to show to the 2 billion gamers out there that Web3 is better for them, but still the game is at the core. Once this is done, finally, you can start building the product. So you have your community, you understand which kind of audience you are talking with, you understand, you have decided which kind of game you want to have. So now is the time for you to start building your actual product. So start developing the product. And how do you do that? Again, since you have community, you do this in a very co-creation process with them. So you should have at least, this is what we did as a Pink Moon Studio. Usually gaming studio, what they do in the normal Web2 game, and I'm not talking about indie studio, I'm talking about, the big flagship, Ubisoft, the big one. What they usually do, what's the main, the usual process? They want to build a game. They, start building the game. They do their researches and stuff like that. And they do not share anything about the game for the first couple of years, 3 years, and then they start sharing a bit of marketing about the game and blah, blah, blah. And then they drop the game when the game is finished. This ended up, of course, if you are, a very big company with a lot of money, you can take the risk. But again, technically speaking, you're building something without really having someone else, the people that are trying, that technically speaking, you're building the product for, trying your product and giving you feedbacks. And since you are a startup, you don't have a lot of trials and errors. You only have one shot, technically speaking. You only have one, I always said running a startup is like trying to disengage a ticking bomb. Sooner or later, if you don't figure it out, you're gonna die. Money will end, hype will end, the team will, will crumble down and stuff like that. So when you start an venture, you start in a startup, that unless you don't make it, you're gonna die. And usually, initially, when you start, you're gonna die in 6 months. And then that you're gonna die and then something goes well, maybe you raise some money, and then that you're gonna die in 18 months. And then maybe you get some extra money, and then you're gonna know that you're gonna die in 3 years until you don't become financially sustainable. Okay. So since you have this kind of an impending risk, you don't want to, let's say, build everything with what you have in your head and without everybody to try. So the best way is to actually have a co-creation approach and an iterative approach. So if you look at us, for example, the Pinkmo Studio, our core product is called Camon World of Gojira. Is a full mobile and PC MMORPG game. As I said, is a sort of a World of Warcraft with Pokemon. To make it simple, then you can check the website and you can get better understanding what the game is. But to give you an idea, is World of Warcraft with the Pokemons. But there were so many questions, and there's still so many assumptions behind the game. Technological assumption, market assumption, game design assumption, game economy assumption, player behavior assumption, user acquisition assumption, monetization assumption. So many assumptions, so many question marks. So then what we did, we said, okay, since this is the product that we want to build, but we have so many other questions, and we know, first of all, be transparent with your community. Be transparent with your community that building a game is not something that you can do in 6 months. Building a game, it at least will require you 2 years, and minimum of 2 years if you have money to spend and stuff. Minimum of 2 years. Major companies, even to build, a mobile casual gaming player, it takes them 3 to 4 years. Building a game like World of Gojira, probably 7 years to see, the finalized version. So what we did, are we going to spend 7 years closed in a tunnel, in a bunker, building, and then release it, finger crossing that people will like it? With build on a lot of assumption that we made? No. So what we did is, initially we created a smaller version of the game, which is called Onchain Challenges, which is a game that is out there right now. That we also use it for, it was a great way for us to, first of all, learn a lot of the difference between, Web 2, Web 3, even testing the core game mechanics at the core of World of Gojira, the technology itself. What are the bottlenecks for a user when they want to start playing a new game? What are the best user acquisition funnel that we can try to increase the audience, to increase the people that are playing our game? So all those questions, we answer them, by releasing a smaller game, so to say. And this because we were lucky, and also good, I will say, that we raised, good amount of capital that allows us to do so. But if you can't do that because maybe you don't have the capital, at least you can focus on your main product, but start to build, and share everything you build with your community as soon as you can. Start sharing from paper, sharing the idea of the game, the balance, the mathematics, share stuff, So in this way, you can collect feedback and reduce your product risk. Because when you launch a company, you have two risks mostly: product risk and market risk. The product risk means you build a product that sucks. Market risk, you might have built a great product, but there's no market for it. So those are the two most important risks that, even before really deep dive and decided to spend 2 years of your life working, you need to figure it out. How can we mitigate those risks as soon as possible? And for example, in our case, right, other than Genesis, we also started since in September, as soon as the game was sort of playable. In September 2023, we started hosting on a quarterly basis playtest. We opened up the server. The game was just like a map with a few, a very bad graphic because it wasn't even improved. I think people from our community can, recognize also the difference from how it looks like and how it was. But in our first playtest, we wanted to test the quest mechanics. We wanted to understand if the quest tech that we built was good, and also if the quest approach and process was good enough for the players. And we wanted to hear their feedbacks also on the map, on the character and the stuff. So as soon as we have something that people can use, even for a couple of days, and indeed, I think the first playtest was open for 2 days, we pushed it out. We asked our community, hey guys, come try it, and then tell us what you think. We got the feedbacks. We changed a lot of stuff. And the months afterwards, we went with another update. we went with another playtest where we were testing something else. And on the other end, we were, showing to the community also that the feedback they gave us, we took them and so on. So as I said, once the community is a really core, and especially the very beginning, it makes the most important things. So now we sorted out also the product and we started building the product. So and then what is the third step, which is, something that we're talking a Web3 game. Everybody's doing this, which is, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm coming out of a bad flu and I'm still recovering a bit. What I'm saying is token lust. And this is a lesson that we learned as a Pink Moon Studio. And I think it's a kind of a newbie situation that we will find us. And honestly, if I'll tell this open, I mean, also talk with our community knows that if I look backwards, probably the Cayman coin, our, utility token for our game. Looking backwards, we should have waited to launch it. And the reason why we should have waited to launch it is because we launched the token before even having the game. And back then, it seems a very smart things to do because we said everybody's doing it and everybody's raising money. And with those money, we can actually build the game and so on. So, of course, at a certain point, you need to balance, resource needed and resource available. So you might end up find yourself obliged to actually launching the token first. So you can raise some capital that allows you to, start building and hiring people, paying salaries in order to build the game, even yourself, because, even yourself, you need to, buy food. If you only focus on this and you don't work on somewhere else, you still need to have food on your table for your family and stuff like that. So it's still something viable options. But my advice, it will be if you find yourself in the position that you don't extremely need capital in order to start developing the product, to building the game, then wait to, to be closer to the game, not even full launch, but to the game playtest, to the game early access, and so on and so forth. But this is a very long-term approach, because if you launch a token so early, you're going to get a very great hype, but then you don't have a product. And so all the hype that you got will just go down because there is nothing that's sustained, because everybody can make promises, but very few people can deliver. And so either you're very good in, showing your face every single day and prove to your investors, to your community that you are building and you are delivering, or if there's no product, your token goes up and it will goes down, and then the capital that you were counting on to use to actually keep building the game is gonna go technically be worthless. So if you can wait for launch your game utility token for when you have something that you can actually show. Some marketing advices then. Let's say now we finally launched the token, we go through all the different steps. So we decided we want to build a game. We want to build a Web3 game. We want to build a long-lasting game. So we want to build a real game. We have our own community. We better understood what's the audience. We know that we want to target Web 2.5 with this particular interest and so on and so forth. We started building the product. We are closing to the product launches or whatever. And now it's the time for we launched the token. And so it's now time to run some marketing. So as you may see right now in the space, is a tactics that we also do, and there's no shame at all in doing that, is airdrops. Right now it's all about airdrops, because actually in the Web3 space, airdrops works amazingly good, in order to attract a huge amount of audience. If you want to collect a huge amount of viewers or new member in your community or whatever, just launch an airdrop campaign and you will get 10,000 new people in a day. It's like a no-brainer. There's also tools that allows you to do them, like tools like Zili, like Gauze, that also allows you to create quests and stuff like that, and so on. So it's a no-brainer. Everybody does it. You should do it. Do it. But be careful. Why? The reason why I'm saying be careful is the people, the audience, and the people that you're going to attract by doing this sort of activities, 95%, they won't be viable for you at the end of the day. You will have a community with 20,000 members win it, where at the end of the day, those that really counts are 5. The remaining 1,995 are people that were just there to get their tokens and then they leave. But this is not something that you need. You need actual, solid people. So use the airdrops, but do and create airdrops in a way that allows you to, how can I say, filter at least those that really don't care at all at the game. So maybe you won't get 20,000 people within your community. You're only going to get 5,000, but those 5,000 will worth 100 infinite more than the 20,000 that you think. You can show off big numbers, but those 20,000 are really worthless for you. Literally worthless, unless you want to just go out and bragging about you have big numbers. But you can't do anything with braggings, right? In this business, you really need to do business, create product, sell product, and have people having fun and enjoying using your product. And so you want to have, is way better, listen, having a smaller community, but we highly dedicated members of people that really want to play your game and they really believe in what you're building. They're really interested within the game. They don't need to be fan. They don't need to be ambassador. They might become ambassador, but you want to have at least the people that join your airdrops, your marketing activities, and so on. They need to have some sort of an interest in your game. I'll just make you a quick example. We are going to launch now our upcoming playtest for Pink Moon Studio, and World of Kojia is launching in 6 days. We're going to run a 2 weeks of playtest. It's the last playtest before the actual early access later this summer. And we put a very big, we put a prize pool, because there is there is a prize pool. So there's a sort of an airdrop, but because we wanted to attract a lot of people, but there is a sort of a catch. And the catch is to participate in the actual airdrop, you need to play the game. You need to complete the quest. You need to win against the boss. You actually need to use the product and do stuff with the product. So we know that this will have an impact and will reduce the overall people that we might gonna attract because we just put a barrier. But thanks to the barrier, the people that will come are people that will stay, are people that will provide valuable feedback for us, are people that will provide new ideas to the community, are people that are actually gonna generate value for the overall ecosystem, are not just people that will come in, take their tokens, and leave. Okay? This is really, really important because when you see, and especially if you are the first time, like I was, you see everybody doing this, huge airdrop, huge communities and stuff like that, nobody said this because if they cannot going out and says, yes, we have a community of X amount or we have 500,000 players, but then when in the reality, 99% of those players are people that if tomorrow someone else will start giving them 1 cent more, all those players will move. Okay? So I think that's sort of it. I see we still have 10 minutes. I'm actually pretty happy because usually when I do this kind of things, I always exceed. I always went pretty long, but I'm pretty happy that I stayed in the 50 minutes that I planned. So I think we have like now 10 minutes for the questions. So I can answer some of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Umberto, for this great presentation and all the advices that you shared with the builders here in the live. I saw already some questions. Let me just ping that here in this on the screen. So the first one is from TP.
How do we build an ecosystem economy experience as a game where some or many of the audience is simply trying to extract value? Man, this is the key question. And I think how do you do that is to think about Web3 later. What I mean is really focus on trying to build an amazing game. Because, at the end of the day, right now, Web3 gaming, I think, is like 1 cent, 1% value compared to the normal gaming industry. And the normal gaming industry, players are only spending money. I think my balance, if I look at my balance of how many money I spent in video games, is tremendously negative, and I have no complaints. I never complain. I never try to extract value from any other game because those games were giving me the other things that I was looking at, So that's why, focusing really to create the best game you can. Create an amazing experience as a game. If you create an amazing experience as a game, then once you add the layer, the economy, ecosystem on top, then you won't end up having the issue of people as trying to extract value, because the people that you have will be people that are there for the game, and for them the value is just a cherry.
Awesome, pretty clear. I saw another one about the gas costs.
Sorry for a newbie question, but how does the gas cost management works on a Web3 game, because it's based on a smart contracts, right? Yes, correct. So actually gas fee is one of the biggest bottleneck, that you have between a normal game to offer a Web2 game experience and a Web3 game experience. So every time you deal with gas fee, so gas fee works in this way. When you have a blockchain contract, if you want to just read data from the contract, you don't pay gas fee. There's no gas fee involved. But if you want to save data on the contract, so if you want to change the status of some data point on the contract, then you need to pay gas fee. And the gas fee, of course, is an estimate of how much traffic there is on the chain in that given moment, and how heavy, technically speaking, is the computational power that the data or the operation that you're trying to do, how many data are involved in the transaction that you're trying to do. Okay. So it's a very big challenge. Gas fee is an enormous challenge. That's also the reason why we started on BNB chain in 2021. But thanks to our friends here of Chainlink, actually, in March, we recently migrate all of our ecosystem from BNB chain to Polygon. And the reason why, because by staying on Polygon, which is a layer 1, it allows us to almost going gasless. Actually, now the cost of gas for any Bayesian transactions that we have is very, very tiny, that we are working to, in a certain moment, we will work to actually start covering the gas cost ourselves, the moment that we will be capable to sustain that. But this is the vision that we have, because we know that the moment that we're also capable to pay the gas ourselves for the user, then the user won't have any gas fee issues. And so finally, we will be capable to offer a seamless Web2 normal game experience. And then you need to be a bit pretty smart. If you play World of Kogia, our game, there's no blockchain involved. We created a system, the backend is dealing with the blockchain stuff. But when you play, you log in with username and email and password, and you run everything there. All the blockchain stuff is managed by the backend. So you also need to be a bit smarter there. And this is also some of the complexity right now, which is in the space, that you don't only need to build the game, but you also need to build the technology that allows you to offer the better experience to your players.
Awesome. I see so many questions. We have 2 questions about the technology that you use for Web3 games.
Well, it's I mean, you put a lot of things together, so to say. Of course, from blockchain technology, which is at core, because without blockchain technology, you have no Web3 games. And then you can, it's just a normal game. For example, if you look at our, tech, we have, let's say, four major components. We have the smart contract components, so all of our blockchain stuff, where you have the breeding, the NFTs, and all that part of stuff. Then we have the one layer, the blockchain backend layer. So we created, it's actually a Node.js backend that is a layer on top of the blockchain that is the translator, so to say, of what's going on into the blockchain for the rest of the system. And then we have the game server, like a normal game, have servers, which are connected to the Node translator. And then there is a Unity, which is the engine that we use to build our game, which is the game engine.
Awesome. We have here a question that can be a little bit tricky to answer. How do you create a community?
Be yourself and be transparent. I think this would be the best. Sharing, especially the very beginning, when you build a community, this is actually something I'll spend the next few words more here, because it's something that I really feel. First of all, there's no, forget about being a different, you are not the cool guy and they are the community. Okay, you are pals. You are you're your friends. You're a group of people. You are the only one that has said, okay, I will start building this, but you are not cooler than them because you are the guys who's working on it. So first of all, this is set the ground on the same level. And by setting the ground on the same level, it means that you have to share with them what you think, what's your inspiration, what's your vision. Be yourself. Be yourself. Try to share with these people why you're doing this, and you will see and you will be amazed. We are 7 billion people out there, and you will be amazed that there's going to be people that will see and feel the world the same way you see it, that has the same visions as you. So if you are transparent, and if you are open, and if you are yourself with them, then they will connect with you, and you create a connection, and then we will be capable to create a core group of the community. And once you have the core group, which has the culture of the community itself, then you start gathering new people with the airdrops, with marketing activities, with KOLs. They're gonna start sharing with their friends as well. But if you have a core group, all the new people that will come, they will get welcomed. They will join a group, and they will kind of be taught what to do and how to behave within a community. And then you see your community expand in a healthy way. If you just start going from 0 to 20,000 without having this core solid foundation of culture, then your community, it won't work. It will just blown up in a certain moment.
Awesome, perfect. So we are on time. I'm gonna close the workshop now. We have another workshop for the Blackmagic attendees about the product design. So stay on the Chainlink YouTube channel. Thanks once again, Umberto, for your time and for all the
Thank you very much
that you shared. And I pinged here many information, so just feel free to follow them on different social networks. Thank you so much, Umberto.
Thank you very much, and have a great day, everybody. Ciao.
See you. Bye.